Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel, guys. You're rolling with B and L here, the double D, the dividend investors on the investing community here on YouTube, the best dividend channel that you can watch right now. And bro, we're here to talk about not one, not two, but three stocks in the healthcare industry because things are looking a little interesting here in 2023, and we're here to see if there's any value based on the simple Dividend Diplomat stock metrics.
Guys, it's all about reaching financial freedom together. That's the name of the game. Grow that passive income stream and make it easy. Just get that stream of income so you can do what you want to when you want to. That's what it's all about. So to follow our journey, subscribe to this channel below. Give this video a thumbs up. Stay tuned. You know why? Because if you're a little bummed that you missed the last contest we had on our video that we just released on Sunday, you got to subscribe so you make sure you enter the next contest that we're going to have, because we're throwing them out there. We want to get some DD mugs to help you enjoy your coffee and research stocks for financial freedom.
Let's dive in, guys. We're recording this video. What is it, January 14th, Bert?
Yeah, it is January.
Yeah. So stock prices we use are from January 13th, Friday the 13th.
Oh,
this is a big horror scene here, though.
Yeah. That's right. So this is going to be fun because it's the beginning of the year. So we're going to take a step back and just see what sectors, see some of our favorite stocks, and see what we're predicting. We do out our predictions. So if you missed that video too, there's a link above here where we talked about what are our favorite sectors, what are our favorite stocks. We're always looking to find which ones are showing signs of undervaluation where we can pump some money in there. So we're going to look at 3 of those healthcare stocks, like you mentioned. We're going to run them through our stock screener. Lanny, what are the metrics of the famous Dividend Diplomats dividend stock screener?
Guys, if you don't know this by now, I'll make it quick. S&P 500 PE ratio, it's got to be less than that. It's got to be a dividend payout ratio less than 60%, between 40 and 60. History of growing that passive income stream, that dividend, it's got to be growing. It can't just be stagnant here. It's got to have increases consecutively without hiccup. Then we'll look at that dividend yield, because that is how much income by owning this stock does it pay you. So let's dig in, my brother.
All right. So what we're going to do here, we're going to talk through each metric and compare all 3 stocks at the exact same time. So that's going to make it fun. You're going to see them head to head. So we're going to compare them head by head and against the metrics of our stock screener. Is it time for the big reveal, Lanny? Have we talked about the 3 companies yet?
Guys, we're diving into healthcare. We're going to be looking at 3 companies with a market cap over $265 billion. We're talking Pfizer, we're talking AbbVie, and we're talking Merck. Ticker symbols PFE, ABBV, and MRK. We'll look at the stock performance over the last 52 weeks and year to date. And surprisingly, Merck is actually the biggest by market cap, and Pfizer, honestly, is the lowest by market cap. Shock factor. Shock factor.
And what's also shocking is just how massive these companies are and how they're actually very close in market cap, even though Merck is 285 and the largest. So let's look at that first metric, price to earnings ratio. Remember, price is at a January 13th, everybody. January 13th. So Pfizer, price 47.85, earnings 487. That's a PE ratio of 9.83. You know it's going to be hard for AbbVie and Merck to beat that. So Lanny, what's AbbVie's PE ratio?
That it is. So right there, Pfizer is below 10. ABBV currently trading at $153.60. Expected earnings $11.74. To keep in mind, all the analysts are projecting very much lower earnings coming up into the next year. So that PE ratio for AbbVie is 13.08. So about 3 higher than Pfizer.
All right, let's see. Merck, 112.25 is their price. Earnings per share, $7.50. Well, it's even worse. Their PE ratio is 14.97. Okay, Pfizer's clearly the lowest here, but just take a step back and remember, all 3 of them are lower than the S&P 500. All 3 get a check. Pfizer gets that slightly larger check because they are the lowest valued at the moment.
Now, we'll make a comment, and Merck might be higher because over the last 52 weeks, they're up 38%. And then AbbVie, when you think about it, they're in between Pfizer and Merck. And that's because they were up 13% in the last 52 weeks. And Pfizer being the lowest is down over 12%. So it already makes sense, the PE ratios lining up the way they are.
Very astute, Mr. Lanny. I would say very astute.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Um,
almost like it all correlates.
All right, metric two, payout ratio. Pfizer's annual dividend 164, payout ratio is 33.68%, so very low on our spectrum here. AbbVie, 592 annual dividend, that's a 50% payout ratio. And Lanny, why don't you tell us about Merck here? Why don't you take some time and tell us about Merck's payout ratio?
So, Merck pays a 73 cents per share per quarter, $2.92 per year on their dividend. Their dividend payout ratio is right in the middle, in between, Pfizer and AbbVie. It's at 38.93%. So when you think about it, all three are below 60%. AbbVie is the only one in the sweet spot of 40 to 60%. And surprisingly, Pfizer actually has the lowest payout ratio right now at 34, just under 34% amongst the three bigs.
So let's see the dividend growth, because that might tell us a trend for why payout ratios are where they are. Pfizer's 5-year dividend growth rate is 4.58%. They've increased that dividend for 12 years. Lanny, tell us about AbbVie here.
AbbVie, as we know, has had higher dividend growth over the last, 5 years. Their average growth rate is 17.21%. But I do want to make a comment, because though that's the historical rate of increase, AbbVie's last increase was approximately, I don't know, I think about 5%. When I think they went from $1.41 to $1.48, which is about 5%. So historically, it's over, 17%, but the last one was only 5%.
So Merck's 5-year dividend growth rate is 8.22%. They've increased that dividend for 11 plus years. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think what's fascinating here is what's more frustrating with Pfizer. It's not frustrating, but they have room to increase their dividend more if they want to. Their payout ratio is only 33%, and their 5-year dividend growth rate is only 4.58%. So I know I'm with you, and come on, let's go Pfizer. Like, there's room to keep increasing that dividend and remain in line with their competitors, AbbVie and Merck right now.
And guys, again, Pfizer 12 plus years, AbbVie 9 plus, and Merck 11 plus. AbbVie's done it ever since they spun off from Abbott Labs. Now, let's dive into the dividend yield. How much is this stock going to pay you right here, right now? Pfizer's dividend yield at the time of this video is 3.43%.
AbbVie, 3.85%.
Oh.
Ooh,
And Merck comes in to round it out at 2.60%, the lowest of the bunch.
Womp, womp, womp. But okay, they're up 38% though. So of course your yield's going to come down when your price jumps up that much ahead of how quickly the company can increase the dividend to keep up with that earnings growth. So we'll see what happens if Merck announces a nice dividend increase or not in 2023.
Right. So guys, here it is. There's a screenshot here on the video right now. You can see all three stocks, three of the biggest ones in the industry right now: healthcare, Pfizer, AbbVie, and Merck. Which dividend stock is your favorite? Bert, if you want to kind of go through what your thought process is amongst the three. I know you own Pfizer and AbbVie. What are you seeing? Any expectations? Any stock buys right here for you?
None. No, I'm kidding. All right. I mean, Pfizer's clearly the cheapest right now for a reason. As you said, I think there was a very good observation earlier on. I honestly think all three of them are good though. Like, I don't think you're going to go wrong. Any commenter that gives any opinion about these three stocks, all are great, massive, large healthcare companies. I don't think there's anything wrong if you say, I picked this one and I like this one to be a foundation of my portfolio. I would say kudos to you. You've invested in a great company, whether it's Pfizer, AbbVie, or Merck. But I am kind of shocked by Merck's metrics here. Most expensive, lowest yielding, but the best performer. So I'm not going to I wouldn't run and buy Merck. But again, if you said you like Merck the best, it's still discounted compared to the market. It still passes our metrics. What do you think, Lanny?
Still passes the metrics. I know that some of the haters might not like it, but I'm really liking Pfizer. I like their current ratio, quick ratio. If you actually look at the earnings release, I know they sandbagged a couple of the last dividend increases. I'm liking that they're, again, it's Pfizer. I know there's a lot of, comments about what they did with COVID. AbbVie's Lipitor, I know, is always a talked about thing as well. Does dividend growth even stand with AbbVie going forward? Merck, gosh, Merck is just like the silent dividend growth stock now all of a sudden, right? I mean,
But yeah, and it's just crazy because of how big the company is. You just kind of forget about Merck and the noise of it all.
you do. Gosh, I mean, all three are solid. I'd like Pfizer to, in the 45 and under range. I'd like AbbVie way below where they are now, maybe in the 130 range, selfishly, and Merck maybe below 100. I'm not here running to buy any of these three stocks because I own so much between Pfizer, AbbVie, and GlaxoSmithKline. And Bert, you're probably in a similar situation.
That's correct. That's why, I mean,
Viatris.
yeah, I'm not running, but again, all of them pass. If you tell us any of the three, we're going to support it because we want you to reach financial freedom by buying undervalued dividend growth stocks. And they all check that box. And they all check our screener.
So guys, what stocks are you buying out of these three healthcare stocks? Are you buying Pfizer stock? Are you buying AbbVie stock or Merck stock? Let us know in the comments. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Definitely give this video a nice thumbs up. It's all about financial freedom and building that passive income stream. And Bert, like we always have been saying now, you're either with us or you're against us. That was Bert and Lanny from the Dividend Diplomats. Over and out.